On today's show, the Denver Nuggets are still the 1 seed in the Western Conference, but they're on a 3-game skid. Is it a symptom of a deeper defensive issue? And why has the MVP discussion been especially turbulent this season as Nikola Jokic looks to three-peat? All that and more coming right here at Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Next game, how about Nikola Jokic to have more than 26.5 points? What about Giannis Antetokounmpo to have less than 9.5 rebounds? Or maybe De'Aaron Fox to have more than 6.5 assists? How about Steph Curry to have more than 3.5 three-pointers made? So what is Prize Picks? It's daily fantasy sports, but how does it work? Basically, you pick 2 to 6 players. If they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times back on your money on any entry that you submit. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections that are made available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch. That's NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL. They've got you covered on all of your action. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. They're safe. They offer incredibly fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Nuggets, Matt Moore, who you can follow wherever you listen to your podcast and on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nuggets. And Matt, the Nuggets are still at the top of the Western Conference standings, but they just lost 3 games in a row, giving up an average of 122.3 points per contest, which would be on par, equal to what the San Antonio Spurs give up on average this season, which is the worst mark in the NBA. So some defensive woes here over these last few games for the Nuggets. What is the main reason or reasons for the sudden 3-game slide here as of late?
I think it's impossible to look at how the Nuggets played prior to winning the Grizzlies game and how they have played since. So they won the Grizzlies game about a week ago, about 9 days ago. That essentially secured the 1 seed. The Grizzlies aren't going to catch them. The Kings are still unlikely to catch them. They're up 4 in the loss column. It's just pretty much done. The Nuggets are going to be the 1 seed. And so the Nuggets downshifted. Like, okay, we got it. We can kind of coast on out of here. Unfortunately, they downshifted a little too much. And in doing so, they returned to who they were at the beginning of the season, which this is what's really interesting is they were the 28th in defense on December 7th. They lost the Mavericks at home. They then go 3 months where they lose once at home the entire time, and they have a top 10 defense. Then they secure basically the 1 seed with the win over the Grizzlies. And since they've lost twice at home, 3 straight, and they're back to being a bottom 5 defense. This does lead me to kind of believe that a lot of this is it's motivation. That doesn't mean that they can screw around too much because you keep doing this, and all of a sudden the 1 seed becomes a little bit in question. What you have to kind of ask yourself is, like, which team is real? Is it the team that was in the 3 months of the regular season in the middle where they played their best basketball? Or is it one of these 2 teams that they were at the extremes? Basically the same team they were at the beginning of the season. Like, which one is it? And if you come to the conclusion, well, no, they're just frauds. They just played well for a couple of months there. That's fine. But that's like basically where you come out here. Nikola Jokic essentially has stopped playing at the level. He's playing in a lot of drop coverages. He does that when he's downshifting. You do that and you're going to get torched defensively. He played much better in the loss of the Nets. Actually, he played at the level. He's pretty good. He had 3 blocks, 2 steals, I think, in that game. He was fantastic, but the rest of the defense simply did not execute in terms of perimeter containment, and that caused a lot of these problems. The Nets shot also great. I actually think the Nuggets played pretty decent at stretches, just not well enough to win. The bench continues to be a tire fire. The addition of Reggie Jackson has been subtraction by addition. There's a lot of things that have kind of gone into this. If you believe in momentum and you believe that playing well late in the season matters going into the playoffs, you should absolutely be selling all of your Denver Nuggets stock.
So there was the viral video of the Spurs shooting, 19 of 32 against Jokic in one of these three most recent losses. You talked about the breaking points in the season for where the Nuggets were defensively when they started, then the good stretch. So which one do you subscribe to right now? Do you believe that these Nuggets are the 3-month stretch where they played really good defensively and can play good, or do you think there is a bigger concern here about maybe some of the defensive limitations when downshifting?
I think that they have pressure points you can attack. Right. I think if you have the right matchup, like this is not a juggernaut that can cover for anything. That's pretty apparent. I think that at their best, that this is a pretty good defensive team when they're locked in and engaged. I think they have a lot of pressure points that you can exploit, and people will kind of point to Jokic. I will again stress that a lot of this is whether or not Jokic is playing drop coverage or at the level. He gets to make that call, whether he's playing at the level or dropping. He has to make that call out of what he's going to do. If he's in drop, he's toast. He's barbecue chicken. I would also point out that almost every center in the league is that way. This is why in the playoffs, everyone goes small. Is if you play big, you will play drop. And if you play drop, you're probably going to get torched by good guards coming off of screens. The Bucks can do it because they have the best rim protector in the league in Brook Lopez. And as far as a drop center goes, the Sixers can do it in stretches. The Nuggets can't do it at all. And so they've got to be able to figure out, like they are gotten much better at throwing the right combinations. Maybe the upside is over the course of a 7-game series, they'll probably figure out what works and what doesn't. Like beating Denver 4 times out of 7 is a lot harder than beating them on any given night. But on the nights where you beat them, they're going to look terrible defensively because Jokic simply can't play drop. They don't have that in the cupboard. And a lot of their defenders, including Bruce Brown, who is supposed to be a positive this season, struggle with bigger guys. There are pressure points to attack on this Denver defense for sure.
The NBA MVP discussion is always a nightmare each and every season as Matt Moore starts just face-palming, rubbing his forehead. He's already exhausted before I can even get to my question, but it seems especially turbulent surrounding Nikola Jokic this season, potentially three-peating. Right now, why should he be the favorite in your eyes over guys like Embiid, Giannis, and how do you feel about the discourse surrounding the award this season in particular?
As someone that really cares about the award, and I usually write articles that make the case for all of these different players at the end of the season. Right now, I will admit that I kind of lean towards Giannis a little bit. I think that he's probably the guy. But the case for Jokic is pretty simple, and it doesn't have to be simple. We can make it complex, but everyone hates the Vorps and the Schmorps, so we won't use those. We'll just completely beyond that. The Nuggets win by more when Jokic is on the floor versus their opponent than any of the other candidates do. They win by more. They beat the opponent more. The point of pro basketball is money. The second point of pro basketball is winning. How do you define winning? Outscoring your opponent when you're on the court. The Nuggets beat their opponent by more when Jokic is on the floor than when Embiid is on the floor for the Sixers or Giannis is on the floor for the Bucks. The Nuggets beat their opponent by more. They win by more consistently. His percentage record is better. His percentage in terms of the net rating, as far as like how many points are scored, like the net differential is higher. He's clearly, obviously, the focal point. He raises his teammates to a higher level than anybody else. He is the most impactful player in the NBA when it comes to winning. And that should be the definition of valuable. That's the case for Nikola Jokic for MVP.
Nuggets are currently the 1 seed, although, the downshifting may come back to bite them in the butt. We'll see how that plays out. But currently 1 seed, potential MVP favorite, Jokic. You're looking at this team, and they've dealt with some injuries, but they've got everybody, or it looks like they've got everybody healthy, knock on wood. But how much will this postseason run dictate Mike Malone's future in Denver? Where is the bar currently at for a successful postseason?
I have said this since preseason. This is not sourced. I've talked to the front office, and this is what they have said. They would clearly not ever say this, but I will tell you that I believe if the Nuggets don't make the NBA finals, barring injury, Michael Malone probably will not be retained as coach. Because if they don't make the finals, they've fallen short of the expectation in the 1 season they were supposed to make the run. Things have gone the way that they needed to. Jokic has played fantastic. They have the offense. They have won all these games. They're incredible at home. All of these things have lined up in their favor. If they do not make the finals, they have to win the conference. If they do not win the conference, what's the easiest thing to flip? It's the same thing as always. The easiest thing in the NBA to replace is the coach. It's easier to do that than make sweeping changes in terms of your roster. So I do believe that probably Michael Malone's under an intense amount of pressure, and I'm pretty sure that Malone knows that. Malone has been extremely successful with the Nuggets. They've gone over their expected win total every season with him, except for the 2020 COVID impacted season. They've been eliminated in the first round once. In the 3 of the 4 playoff runs, they have been eliminated by the eventual champion. Like, the Nuggets do not go out easy. And Malone, despite what the perception is, has proven to be a coach that makes adjustments in the playoffs to get them past where they would have been otherwise. However, the standard is just impossibly high. If the Nuggets do not reach the finals, I will expect that Michael Malone is not retained as coach.
Will Nikola Jokic three-peat as the NBA MVP? How deep a postseason run will this Denver Nuggets team be able to make? You'll have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Nuggets. Matt, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Anytime, man. Take care.